Retired four-star General Jack Keane joins me now. General, what is your reading of this debate over killing survivors?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of misunderstanding here, and I think the Pentagon should conduct their own independent investigation of what took place there, because they're really good at getting to the bottom of this, and if there was something wrong here, they do hold people accountable. I'm a little concerned about the congressional investigation because of the politics involved in it, but just to set some facts in front of the American people so they understand this better, is that in the 20 years of the 9/11 wars, we've had Republican and Democratic presidents authorize our military, when they're conducting airstrikes through drones or other means against isolated targets. In other words, there's no American ground troops in the area. And the mission is to kill the terrorists because of who they are and what they represent. It's irrelevant whether they're at a meeting and they're not armed or not. Maybe they are armed, but the mission is to kill the terrorists because of who they are. And if they don't kill them all with the first strike, those commanders have always been authorized to conduct reattacks. This has been done probably at least at a minimum 25% of the time. And that is what we're talking about here. But let's get the facts. The facts are, we don't know how close another ship may have been to go police up those survivors, if that was even feasible, without putting the ships or a helicopter in some kind of danger. That's what I mean. But the principle of reattacking to kill a target that's identified as terrorists, whether they're wounded, whether they're armed, is irrelevant. It's who they are. In this case, the boat and the cargo needed to be destroyed and the terrorists eliminated. And given the fact the terrorists weren't eliminated, it's well within that commander's authority to finish and eliminate the mission that he was assigned.
I just want to bring up one issue. The Democrats say it's okay to ignore military orders. My question is, where does that leave, say, the helicopter pilot who fired the missiles at that boat? I mean, aren't we just really interfering with military authority here?
Well, a couple of things. One is our military leaders and soldiers are not permitted to obey an illegal order. They are held accountable to refuse that order. That's to give you a sense of the moral clarification we have in the military. That's why I find these statements being made by others trying to encourage the chain of command not to obey illegal orders is insulting to them. Yeah. Insulting to them and the values we hold dear in the military. They know full well what that is. And if the military is going to get an illegal order at the very high level where the officer is being given that mission, they're likely going to say, sir, that's not legal. And we have lawyers at all various levels in the chain of command to ensure that these orders are legal. Come on, we've got a pretty good system out there, and it really works. And we have soldiers who come into the military whose values are strengthened by the values we hold dear inside the military.
I'm going to change the subject for a second. Putin met with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner yesterday. They talked for 5 hours, I believe, about ending the war in Ukraine. No concrete decisions made at that meeting. But, General, it just seems at the moment that Putin is winning.
No, I don't think Putin is winning. I mean, he advertises that he's winning. He advertises that he's going to roll over Ukraine, that they're back on their heels. I mean, that's his narrative. Just it's as false as he advertises that he's completely justified to invade Ukraine because they and the Eastern Europeans are encroaching on him. But the reality is, listen, I think where we are is we have to come down to what is President Zelensky willing to agree to and what is Putin willing to agree to as a result of these negotiations. And if there is agreement, and likely there will be concessions made on both sides, one thing that must happen as a result of that agreement, and this is crucial, we need security guarantees that are robust to ensure that there's not a future attack by Putin. And what I mean by that is likely the United States in charge of those command and control. It's an air force, air capability, ground force security, protecting the terrain, and maritime at sea as well. Logistical infrastructure provided by the United States, and then robust build up the Ukrainian military, help to reform it and rebuild it so it can eventually deter Russia on its own and be somewhat independent of the United States. They are right now the second most powerful military in Europe, better than the Eastern Europeans and the Western Europeans, except for Turkey. And we even can make them even stronger. So if any deal is going to be enduring, we need to ensure that they have security guarantees backed up by people on the ground and in the air and also at sea. That has to take place, or Putin will likely reattack.
Got it. General, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, sir.